Your Excellency President Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Mr. Thierry Zumahun, President and CEO of Africa Institute of Mathematical Sciences, and the founder and chair of Next Einstein Forum, Ms. Uta Michael Durik, the Vice Chair of the Board of Management, and the delegation from Robert Bosch Foundation, honorable guest ministers, the delegation from Johnson & Johnson led by Seema Kumar, Next Einstein Forum ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good morning and a warm welcome to the 2018 Next Einstein Forum Global Gathering in Kigali. My name is Paula Ingabire and I'm honored to be your Master of Ceremony this morning. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for our country to be hosting this very important event that brings together like minds to advance a shared belief in the potential of science and innovation to drive and leapfrog economic development on the continent. The Africa Institute for Mathematical Sciences initiative is a Pan-African network of centers of excellence in mathematical sciences. In addition, the Next Einstein Forum, an initiative of AIMS, recognizes and advances scientific excellence and inspires the next generation of African innovators. For the next 2 days, we'll engage in various discussions and geared towards developing a Pan-African framework for innovation as an instrument for realizing economic and social transformation. Under the theme, Connecting Science to Humanity, this theme resonates with the Dakar Declaration that underpins this shared belief towards promoting science and innovation as an engine for Africa's development progress. With that background, I'd like to invite the National Ballet Urucherereza to perform a cultural welcome dance. Welcome, Urucherereza. Thank you. Another big round of applause for that fantastic performance. I do hope our guests did enjoy it, as it gives you a taste of our hospitality. The young men you saw, we call them Inhore, which means warriors. They display agility and strength. The dance of the women is called Umushajiriro, which symbolizes grace and elegance. Distinguished guests, it's my honor to invite our first speaker this morning, Mr. Thierry Zomahun, who doubles as both the president and CEO of AIMS, as well as the founder and chair of Next Ancient Forum. Please join me as we welcome Mr. Zomahun on stage.
Good morning. His Excellency, President Paul Kagame of the Republic of Rwanda, Her Excellency, Ambassador Amina Mohamed, representing His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, honorable ministers from across Africa and around the world, distinguished excellencies representing international and African organizations, distinguished heads of research institutions and science foundations, distinguished scientist, Professor Klaus von Klitzig, Nobel laureate in physics, 1984, industry leaders, civil society organizations, Next Einstein fellows and ambassadors, dear partners, Robert Bosch Foundation's family, and Johnson & Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome you all to Africa's Global Premier Forum for Science. Let me start by thanking Your Excellency, President Paul Kagame, for gracing us with his presence here, for convening this forum in Dakar a couple of years ago, and for hosting this global gathering today. I think I could repeat what I just said to the President in private. Well, that's what not in private, because Neil was there, and other people was there. So 3 years ago, a big delegation from the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences met with His Excellency, President Paul Kagame. And then we talked to him about a vague ideas, the Next Einstein Forum. And I remember the President asking, what is this forum for? We said science and the youth. And we're having the first edition in Dakar in Senegal. The President said, I'm coming. I'll come there. And called one of his staffers to put it in his diary, in his agenda. This is what leadership, the leadership of the 21st century means. Thank you for being here. My message this morning to this distinguished audience is a simple message that boils down to two questions. Why are we here? And why are we doing this? Number one. Number two, what are we here to accomplish? Those are the two questions that I'm going to answer. So today, we are here to celebrate science, the transformative power of science in Africa. We are here today to celebrate the contributions of Africa to global science. And we are here to celebrate the achievement of some of Africa's brightest minds and scientific minds. Today, some are still debating whether ancient Egyptians, and by inference, their science prowess in engineering, in navigation, and architecture are Africans. But we know that humans already had cognitive ability before they left Africa, as we all agree by now that Africa is the cradle of humanity. Africans were the first to count. And the continent was the place where humans started counting for the first time. Not only Africa is the cradle of humanity, but we arguably suggest that Africa is the cradle of mathematics. The 43,000-year-old Lebombo bone discovered in the Lebombo Mountains in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, is the oldest known artifact showing a counting tally. Older even than the Ishango bone from the Congo Basin, which is 20,000 years old. In astronomy, the Dogon people of Mali amassed a wealth of detailed astronomical observations that go back thousands of years BC. Though considered to have very little, if any, astronomical instrument, the Dogon people determined Sirius, a star visible to the human eye, and that had an invisible companion star that made a 50-year elliptical orbit around it. The extraordinary astronomical knowledge of the Dogon people of Mali was ignored until the 1930s, when first recorded by French archaeologists from a Dogon priest. We in this forum, our international partners and African partners, are here to counter this situation. We want the next Einstein Forum to shine a light on the historical and current contributions to science by Africa. Second, what are we here to accomplish? We are here because we will be interacting with some of Africa's brightest scientists. And on this note, I'd like to ask the two classes of the next Einstein Fellows 2016-2018, the two classes of ambassadors 2016-2018 to please rise very quickly so that we can see them. Thank you. These are some of Africa's bright scientific lights. We will be seeing them in the spotlight sessions. They're doing research in precision health, game theory, artificial intelligence, energy, nanotechnology, physics, genetics, blockchain statistics, stochastic, and finance. They are the powerhouse of solutions for Africa's transformation. In the next 3 days, we will be running in this forum a research and innovation-driven competition. And tomorrow, there will be a presidential panel. And we're blessed that our leaders will honor this distinguished audience again. So a number of initiatives will be taking place, but We just want the speakers and all the people present here to contribute in a very creative way, not to rehash what has been already said many years ago. Before I conclude, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you again, thank your entire government, your entire cabinet, and your own executive office. The journey that took us here is short, but a long journey. But at least the result is there. It's here before our very eyes. I'd like to thank other government, international and African, Robert Bosch Stiftung, Johnson & Johnson Foundations, but my specific appreciations goes to the International Board of Governors of the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences and to the Next Science and Forum Global Secretariat team. They worked day and night for the past 2 years. They put a lot of energy into this. My appreciation goes particularly to the leaders, Dr. Youssef Travali, the Vice President of the Next Science Forum, Youssef Travali from Senegal, and Nathalie Muniapenda from Rwanda, the Managing Director of the Next Science Forum. Again, welcome to Africa's premier global forum for science. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zamahun, for those remarks and the thoughtful questions that set the stage for the next 2 days. Coming up next is none other than the Vice Chair of the Board of Management, Robert Bosch Foundation, Ms. Uta Michaela Durik. Please welcome her as she makes her way to the stage.
Good morning. His Excellency President Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, honorable guests, excellencies, ambassadors, dear Neil, Thierry, and Sima. Ladies and gentlemen, and all protocols observed, and dear NEF fellows. It is with great joy and honor that I welcome you all to the second global gathering of the Next Einstein Forum here in Kigali. I'm very glad to present the Robert Bosch Foundation here today, and we are proud to be the co-initiator together with AIMS for this important forum. The Robert Bosch Foundation is one of the largest German foundations associated with a private company. The foundation was founded more than 50 years ago, in line with Robert Bosch's last will and testament. Robert Bosch was one of Germany's great entrepreneurs, a philanthropist, and visionary. With his legacy, he wanted us to alleviate all kinds of hardship and promote the moral, physical, and intellectual development of the people. As his foundation, we carry this mission in our heart and seek to address challenges our societies are facing and to encourage change. We support and run projects in the areas of science, health, society, education, and international relations. A broad portfolio which enables us to act where we see the biggest need. The leading theme of Next Einstein Forum 2018, alluding to the legacy of a great mind, is connecting science to humanity. This aligns very well with our foundation's principles to always put people in the center of our activities. We want to initiate innovation and promote action. These principles provide the answer to the question, why are we, the Robert Bosch Foundation, here today? Our engagement on the African continent is based on the conviction that solutions are best tailored to fit a given country if they are homegrown. It is important for us that our African partners take the lead in our projects and that we can all learn from each other. We want to contribute to a sustainable future for all of us, strengthening the scientific community and supporting you, the scientists, in key for that. Our ideas, knowledge and experience are more needed than ever to shape the future. Together, we can spark the biggest impacts. And this is why we are here today, to promote science and research in Africa and to unlock the potential of bright young people for a sustainable future. We believe in this continent. We believe in the ability of its people to create ideas and solutions for a better future for Africa and beyond. When I meet young African scientists, they tell me that they would like to exchange much more with their peers, especially with colleagues from other African countries. We would like to support these highly talented young researchers in different ways. For example, in providing space where interdisciplinary interaction is possible. I was very impressed with the Next Einstein Fellows of the first NEF Global Gathering in 2016 in Dakar. The international acknowledgement and exposure of these young people to an audience of over 800 participants has been key to the success of the forum. The first global gathering made the excellence of young African scholars truly visible for a global community. Since then, the NEF Fellows have built vast and strong networks, significantly contributed to the overwhelming interest in our gathering today. Over 50% of the participants at NEF are under 42 years old, and almost half are women. I just tick some of these boxes, but that's the signal we want to send. This is how the future looks like. You are the future. Let me take this opportunity to also thank our important partner AIMS to this cooperation, which is a primary example of how the Robert Bosch Foundation seeks to promote research and science in Africa. Ever since we started our cooperation, we have shared the vision that only a strong African scientific community will ensure a sustainable human development. Today, we also be talking about how to lay the groundwork for knowledge-led economies, an ever more important topic in our fast-changing and independent economic circles. It is crucial to equip young people not only with knowledge, but also with the necessary skills to apply their knowledge in any given situation, and the ability to think critically, which is essential for transformational leadership. This is why we are supporting a number of science leadership programs across the continent. I invite you to connect yourself with these change makers to discuss the future of African research. Furthermore, education plays a key role in the debates. The Robert Bosch Foundation has vast experience in educational projects as well in Germany and internationally. 2 years ago, we backed the startup of an ambitious initiative in Africa, ESSA, Education in Sub-Saharan Africa. Our vision of transformed educational outcomes in Africa can only come true through systematic and long-term cooperation beyond the logic of projects. With higher proportions of their GDP dedicated to education than most of the northern countries, African nations have shown a powerful commitment to education. Our host country, Rwanda, for example, acts in these efforts where an enrollment rate of almost 100% in primary education has been achieved. However, we all know that the impact of all efforts needs to go further. We strive to contribute to this by informing and connecting all those who invest or want to invest in education and qualification on the continent in partnership with the African nations which own this space. One key question is where qualified faculty will come from to cope with an increasing demand for higher education. The accessibility and quality of reliable data will be crucial for future resource planning. Honorable President, Mr. Kagame, ladies and gentlemen, dear partners and guests, we are here in a time where our world faces great challenges. But challenges always mean opportunities as well. And the next 3 days very much are a great opportunity to listen, to learn, to exchange, and to strengthen our networks in order to build a common sustainable future. Because we know that science and education are essential in this endeavor. And it's us, the people, that are the key drivers for change. I'm looking forward to connect and work with you together. Let us shape the future together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Durick, for your remarks and for highlighting the importance for homegrown solutions as an emphasis towards a sustainable future. Coming up next is Professor Neil Turok, AIMS founder and director of Perimeter Institute, who will deliver the last set of opening remarks. Please join me as we welcome him on stage.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, all the VIPs, and above all the EIPs, the extremely important people, the young scientists and students who are in this audience. Thank you for coming. Fantastic to see such a packed house. I'm told there are 1,600 people here. This is the largest scientific gathering ever held in Africa. As has been mentioned, we live in a troubled world. It seems confused in many ways. Some countries are retreating into nationalism and prejudice, but I don't sense that here right now. This hall is full of internationalism, optimism, and a desire to reclaim the tradition of science in Africa. I brought with me an interesting object. It's this. It's the Ishango bone that was mentioned, discovered not too far from here in Virunga, what is now Virunga National Park. It's an example of one of the first mathematical artifacts that are known. I invite you to come and share it with me. It's only a copy, unfortunately. The original is in the Belgium National Museum, and it needs to be reclaimed too. But that's our task. But I invite you to come and look at it. It's really cute. It's like a little office tool. It has a quartz crystal in one end of the bone, and you use that to mark and to write. And on the side of the bone, it has marked in notches all the prime numbers up to 20. And if you add up the one side and the other side, each side adds up to 60. So somebody was doing something fairly sophisticated with numbers 20,000 years ago near here. So at the same time that we have this sense of confusion globally, sense of anxiety among young people, scandals of the abuse of data, it's deeply ironic because the progress of science has never been more exciting and the reach and power of it has never been greater. So I'm going to cheat and show a few slides. Let's begin. Within our generation, we have observed the entire universe. We're struggling with the technology, but there it goes. The Big Bang, that's the focus of my own research. And remarkably, we can now see it all. And what we see there is unbelievably simple. The universe is not chaotic and arbitrary on large scales. It's stunning in its beauty, in its simplicity, in the accuracy with which we can describe it using mathematical theories. You see the solar system in the middle. As we look out, we look back in time, we see the origin of galaxies and stars, and going back further, we see the hot radiation of the early universe, and the edge of the picture The white surround is the Big Bang singularity itself. We're now developing mathematical theories of exactly what happened. There's been spectacular progress, absolutely spectacular progress. Just last October, there were observations revealing this. This is the collision and merger of two neutron stars emitting gravitational waves predicted by Einstein's theory, and then a big flash called a kilonova. And through this event, we have learned that most of the gold and platinum and uranium, which we find on Earth today, was created in spectacular events like this. This was a genuine surprise. Theorists had done modeling and predictions. The observation was made using the Laser Interferometric Gravitational Wave Observatory, LIGO, in the US and Europe, and then followed up by observations from 50 different telescopes all over the world in all wavelengths. An amazing example of the international collaboration of science to discover the origin of the heavy elements. A simply spectacular result. That brings me to people. Science is all about people. And I want to remember here two very special people. On the left is Francis Allotte. He worked on both of these scientific topics. So he went to high school in Ghana, and before he even went to the UK to college, he founded a school in his hometown in Salt Pond. So he was a pioneer, creator of educational institutions. And Francis then went to the UK, did his undergrad, went to Princeton for his PhD, with Robert Dicke, one of the founders of the Big Bang Theory and these precise observations. And Francis actually helped Robert Dicke to test Einstein's theory to 1 part in 100 billion in 1964. Amazing feat. And then on the right, of course, we have Professor Hawking, sadly passed away quite recently. And I will be going there to his funeral this Saturday, and I know I would love to take your warm wishes with me. Now, what brought these two people together was Ames. These were the two patrons of Ames. They were both brilliant scientists, but also both much more than that, because they cared about people and communicating science and sharing science and the importance of science. And we were very privileged to have them as supporters. Now, we often talk at Ames about the fact the next Einstein must embody both the humanity and wisdom of Mandela, possibly the greatest leader of the 20th century, as well as Einstein, possibly the greatest scientist of the 20th century. And I think Allotte and Hawking both embodied these qualities. But who is the next Einstein, and what will they look like? So that, I think, is one picture. That's a picture we promote. At Ames, we view the richness of cultures of Africa as a treasure, as a profound resource which will stimulate progress in science. Likewise, we emphasize opening avenues for women as vital to the future of science. And in fact, this young woman, I'm proud to report, who was the example of the young Einstein, received her PhD last year at Perimeter, and she's recently joined the University of Swaziland as a lecturer in physics. These are some of her papers. They're about dark energy, they're about the causal structure of space-time, very deep and challenging topics. But she's one of many who have come through Ames, contributed to Ames, and are laying the basis of the scientific community in Africa. And so this is one answer to Thierry's great questions. Why are we here? This graph shows the number of youth between 15 and 24 years old, in some notable regions of the world. So you see China peaked in 1990, India will peak in 2020, and Africa is on the rise. And by 2050, when you talk about young people in the world, it will be impossible to do so without speaking about Africa. China, of course, invested very heavily in education, in technology and science, and the results are obvious. India, likewise, is a rising force. And our task is to make sure that sub-Saharan Africa, in fact, the whole of Africa, this is a bit of a colonial graph, I must admit. It should say all of Africa. The whole of Africa realizes its potential in the same or even in better ways. I want to share with you some very particular projects that I'm excited about in Rwanda. We only opened AIMS in Rwanda in 2016. It's had its first 2 classes of students. The young man in the center of this picture has helped to found Quantum Leap Africa. It's a research center with a very high ambition to prepare Africa for the coming quantum revolution in technologies. And already this initiative is having some very surprising and exciting consequences. That's the thing about good science and good initiatives. They are unpredictable, that they are opportunistic, and they move very fast. So soon after Prince agreed to lead this effort, an opportunity arose to build a radio telescope in Rwanda. As you know, South Africa will host the world's largest radio telescope, the Square Kilometre Array, that will turn on in the mid-2020s, and it will be the best instrument for astronomy in the world. But things are moving faster than that, and so there's a smaller radio telescope called HIRAX, which will consist of 1,000 satellite dishes, again in South Africa. And there was an opportunity to create an outrigger telescope, a much smaller one, just 8 satellite dishes, in Rwanda. And these 2 arrays of radio telescopes working together will create a much higher resolution picture of dramatic events in the universe. And what they will be observing is precisely the kind of events I told you, the collisions of neutron stars, these very powerful events in the universe, very distant, but so powerful we can see them brightly. And it is our belief that this combination of HIRAX in South Africa and the outrigger in Rwanda and perhaps other countries will actually do the leading science in the world in that area, understanding what are called fast radio bursts, the most powerful events in the universe. And this will turn on in 2019, and we may see some real discoveries very soon after. Now, so that is pure science, that's understanding the universe. It's incredibly inspiring stuff, and I think a real discovery in Rwanda of the highest international level will do much to excite the youth here about studying hard and seeing opportunities in science. But there are much more applied fields. And one of them, of course, is machine learning, probably the hottest topic in science right now because of its dramatic progress and impact in all sectors of industry, government, society. This tool of artificial intelligence and machine learning will probably be transformative of the future economy. So we're very proud to be developing Africa's first ever master's program in machine intelligence. The young man on the right, Mustafa Sise, is one of the leading researchers, young researchers in the world in this field, and he's driving this program. These are the kinds of initiatives which are happening. I'm just giving 2 examples, but much, much more is to come. So finally, I'd just like to thank you for all being here. I think the positivity in this meeting is a powerful antidote to all the nonsense going on elsewhere. And let's make this meeting a very powerful one. Let's form alliances and let's combine to make Africa a leader in the world of science. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Neil Turok, for those wonderful remarks. And also thank you for giving us a taste and a sneak preview into the discoveries coming out of these like-minded scientific community of Africa. At this point, we're going to have our next set of entertainment that is brought to us by Afro Show Productions. It is an artistic cultural show produced by young African artists that presents a creative performance about Rwanda, your host country, and the vision of Africa's future in science and technology. Please join me as we welcome them on stage.
I have not come to speak of death. I have come to speak of life. I have not brought with me the darkness, but have carried the light of 1,000 suns to your door, that they may shine through your darkest night. I have not come to sing a song of sorrow, like the sunbird that weeps at the passing of the day. I have not come to remind you of tears, but of triumph, of a proud people rising, that dignity written upon the sky. The night has passed. I have come to show you a future which began when I emerged from the fires of hate, holding the flames of love. Love and forgiveness are born of pain. They are the wood and nails of this risen land. I was forged in fire, and I remain standing. I am being rebuilt with the ancient wisdom of my people and guided by that vision for an even greater future. I have come to show you a vision, a place of wonder, of joy, an endless horizon of possibilities. Why are you here? What have you brought to this new and ancient world? Let me tell you why I stand before you. I have come to ask you a question. It may seem simple, but it is not. Do you know your name? Do you know who you are? Your gifts are of no use to me if you do not. For only when you know yourself can you begin to know me and help me build a better tomorrow. I will tell you my name. It means origin, beginning, the source. Who am I? My name is Africa, and welcome to Rwanda.
Listen carefully, and you will hear the voice of an ancient land. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it sings. Its 1,000 hills tell stories of triumph and dignity. Listen carefully, and you will hear its heart beating, alive with possibility. The heartbeat of Rwanda can be heard everywhere. In the song of the dawn, in the soft whispers of dusk. Movement, passion, survival, success, play, work, trade, people creating and connecting in the villages, towns, and bustling cities of Rwanda. This land, full of life, provides a world of opportunity for those who are willing to work and grow. Every day, modern structures of steel and glass go up, home to global entrepreneurs, fueling a growing economic revival. The heart of Rwanda is expressed in the joy of its people, who invoke a culture of technology that has existed for thousands of years. In this remarkable country, young entrepreneurs of every description are leading the way. Tomorrow's leaders and thinkers, transforming, rejuvenating, innovating, showing the world that Rwanda is a rising sun on the continent of Africa. Today, we celebrate this unique country and evoke the ancient spirit of its technological roots as we look to a future of infinite possibility. Since the beginning of time, when human beings first looked up at the stars, saw the sun rise and fall, felt the seasons come and go, measured the heights, the shape, the rhythms of life. We have questioned who we are and why we are here. Ancient and modern philosophers, scientists, artists, leaders, mathematicians, poets, and scholars have wanted to understand the origin and structure of the universe and our place in it. Africa is the cradle of civilization. The continent has a rich history of innovation, creativity, resilience, and diversity. Often ignored and overlooked, it is home to the very first human beings who rose from this land to inhabit the globe. Still, we rise. Africa today is a landscape of infinite possibility. As entrepreneurs, inventors, thought leaders, and digital pioneers push the boundaries of technology to make our lives easier, better, healthier, longer, and simpler than ever before. Our continent is home to technological breakthroughs and cutting-edge developments in medicine and health, information technology, and commerce. The continent is transforming itself into a knowledge economy of digitally smart societies. Rwanda has been at the forefront of empowering its people as it ushers in a new world of technology to improve every area of daily life. The strides already made are a result of collaboration between government, the private sector, global and local players, and citizens who collectively drive the change. From factories and farmland to digital hubs and networks, from transport and training to access to information and the internet, from medical and social services to an economy fundamentally linked to innovation, Rwanda is at the forefront of a digital revolution. Commitment, passion, vision, and strength have allowed Rwanda to become a leader and a light in Africa, as it unlocks human potential through science and technology as never before. Sustaining this movement in Rwanda and the continent cannot be done without creating an explosion of new scientists and innovators who can lead the way. We must encourage scientific curiosity in our youngest, tap into the chain of human resource that produces breakthroughs, and invest in the development and commercialization of our ideas for the greater good of our communities. It is from this fertile place of thought, innovation, and technology that new Einsteins will emerge.
Thank you, Afro Show Productions, for putting together a great performance that depicts Africa's history, the transformation that we are undergoing, and the future that we envision. We are now getting into the second half of this morning's session. It's my pleasure to invite Rwanda's Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Eugene Mutimura, to deliver his remarks, right after which the Honorable Minister will proceed to invite our guest of honor, President Paul Kagame, to deliver the keynote address. Please join me as we welcome Honorable Dr. Eugene Mutimura on stage.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, honorable ministers from all countries present here, Excellency ambassadors and senior representatives from all countries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are very grateful to Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, for honoring this event and being able to come this morning to ensure that you preside over this year's next Eastern Global Gathering this morning. Allow me to thank Your Excellency for your vision and support to enhance science and technology in Rwanda, but also in the global community. Let me thank Professor Neil Tolk, founder of AIMS, and director of the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics in Canada, for the support that he has done and has made to AIMS and NEF for all the work that has been done since its inception. I would like to thank Mr. Thierry Zoumahon, CEO and President of AIMS, for the work he has contributed to ensure that AIMS becomes a success from the time when this activity has started and all the way back when AIMS and NEF initiative started. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Rwanda places a great importance to capacity building in science, technology, and innovation because we believe that is an important pillar for developing our nation, and we believe together we can work together to develop the continent and the global community. In Rwanda, we have developed a national policy in science, technology, and innovation, which was approved by the government of Rwanda way back 2005. This policy is very important because it is through this policy and its implementation that we shall embark on a rigorous effort to build science, technology, and innovation. And that's very crucial because we will continuously strive as a country, as a continent, as a global community to ensure that we develop our nations in terms of reducing levels of poverty, but also through wealth creation and also export diversifications. The policy is very important because it helps us together if we form strong partnerships and we forge to work together as a team of scientists and implementers to promote knowledge acquisition, knowledge deepening, knowledge transfer, and a culture of innovation, because it is through our partnerships that we shall make our countries prosper. We cannot do this alone. We can only do this through the young generation of scientists. And here we are testifying to this witness that we support this new generation, nurture them, support them, so that they are the ones to become the next Eastern scientists. It is important to note, ladies and gentlemen, that science, technology, innovation ecosystem is very important because it has benefited already some countries, and here I will only name a few. Countries such as South Korea, Singapore, and Finland that are now living examples of countries that harness the transformative power of science and technology to build robust, knowledge-based economies. Ladies and gentlemen, Rwanda's science and technology trajectory has evolved over time, and I have already started to share with colleagues and friends during yesterday's pre-event workshop at Marriott, when we discussed several aspects related to how we can collaborate together to support science and technology in our countries. I will continue to be available and share with colleagues in a mutual dialogue so that we work together to forge these partnerships. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps it is important to note a few activities in which Rwanda has played a key role to drive science in the country, but also in the region. One of them is the partnership in applied science, engineering, and technology, which is a sub-Saharan initiative to support PhD training and research, of which Rwanda is a founder member together with the Republic of Senegal, the Republic of Ethiopia, with a goal so that other countries join. And this is crucial because countries have committed to supporting the region to ensure that this activity is sustainable through contribution of $2,000 million towards this effort. I'm delighted to note that other countries like Republic of Kenya, Republic of Ivory Coast, have become members and have made their contributions. Another important key initiative is the partnership between the government of Rwanda and International Center for Theoretical Physics to establish an East African Center for Fundamental Research. Perhaps it is important also to note that we are here this morning to witness the partnership the government of Rwanda has had with African Institute of Mathematical Sciences Next Eastern Initiative in order to promote science and build the capacity of young scientists. Ladies and gentlemen, there are several other initiatives like the Carnegie Mellon University partnership with the government of Rwanda, the ongoing collaboration between the government of Rwanda and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology to establish a world-class global climate observatory, and several other initiatives like the Centers of Excellence in Energy and Sustainable Development, Internet of Things, Data Sciences, and others. This Next Eastern Forum brings us together as key stakeholders and scientists to support science and innovation in order to promote business in our nations and in our regions. This provides an opportunity to review the key questions around promotion of capacity building in science and technology. That's very, very important foundation to develop our economies. I have reiterated and expressed our gratitude for the visionary support and leadership to Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, for supporting science and innovation in Rwanda and on the African continent. I'm therefore delighted, Your Excellency, to request you to deliver your opening remarks to this year's Next Eastern Forum gathering. I thank you.
Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to recognize Professor Neil Turok, founder of AIMS, Thierry Zamahon, President of and CEO of the African Institute of Mathematical Sciences, honorable ministers from across our continent, the Bosch and Johnson & Johnson foundations, supporters and partners of the Next Eastern Forum, distinguished scientists, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to give you a very warm welcome to Kigali. Rwanda is very happy to serve as a host of this year's Next Eastern Forum, as well as the headquarters of the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences. I congratulate the organizers for the exceptionally high quality of the panels and discussions on the agenda in the coming days. We are clearly going to learn a lot. I wish to add from the outset that had it not been for just coincidence that this week we had an extraordinary AU summit, and at the same time, the same week, we have this very important forum. We would have had many more heads of state here with you than just myself. They had expressed their wish to be part of this forum, to be with you, but you understand that it is too much to ask the heads of state to crisscross the continent twice just to Kigali in 1 week. So they asked me to extend their apologies that they couldn't make it. I also take this opportunity to commend the partners and the sponsors who have made this event possible. I said to begin with Johnson & Johnson and Robert Bosch Foundation. Our joint commitment to promoting achievement in mathematics and science reflects their importance for all of Africa. Human progress, after all, is grounded in the mastery of science and mathematics. When researchers and commercial enterprises apply those capabilities to practical problems, they discover innovations that save lives and transform economies. Knowledge economies are prosperous economies. Today, more than ever before, adequate math and science proficiency is a prerequisite for a nation to attain high-income status and the gains in health and well-being that go along with it. For too long, Africa has allowed itself to be left behind, but that's starting to change as we see in the important work on display at this forum. But as Africa catches up to the rest of the world, we cannot afford to leave our women and girls out of the equation. The gender gap in science is a global phenomenon, but that is no reason to accept it as inevitable. Whatever the causes may be, we have to dedicate ourselves to closing the gap because opportunity will never be equal without equal access to knowledge. It's not just about filling heads with information and performing well on exams. The purpose is to apply that knowledge to solve the problems facing our continent and our world. That requires an innovation ecosystem in which government, business, and educational institutions all reinforce each other. There are many representatives from industry here, both among speakers and sponsors, and this is critically important. We need to build on the good initiatives underway to create more productive linkages between the African research and innovation community, both in universities and startup firms. Too often, it is just assumed that technical expertise is unavailable in Africa. Governments are as guilty as big companies in this regard. We keep going back to the same external suppliers for solutions without making every effort to procure the services here. It doesn't make sense. Let's use the resources we have to give these talented African specialists the chance to grow and compete professionally. There may be some extra costs in the short term, but doing so will not only build our institutions, but increase our capacity for international collaboration as well. Scientific research is fundamentally about collaboration across borders. Its global character accelerates the process of discovery and multiplies the benefits. We do not aim to create an autonomous African science that operates in isolation. That would defeat the whole purpose. We are working to fully connect Africa to the global networks that have been so productive. This builds on the positive mood on our continent about the prospects for practical Pan-African collaboration. Despite the challenges we still face, there is clear evidence of forward movement and a sense that the moment is ours to seize. We have what it takes to do so, not least because of the growing ranks of smart and creative young people who are the foundation of Africa's future. The future we want is as bright as we want it. May I, on this note, wish you a successful event and thank you very much for being here and for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency President Paul Kagame, for your remarks. You have set the tone for the next 2 days of deliberations. Distinguished guests, with that, we've come to the end of the first part of this program. Please join me once again in thanking our guest of honor and the distinguished guests for their presence and contributions this morning. I'll end with a quote from an aspiring next Einstein, Sabrina Gonzalez. She said, quote, "Physics itself is exciting enough. It's not like a 9 to 5 thing. When you're tired, you sleep, and when you're not, you do physics," end of quote. I interpret this as a lifestyle that we ought to emulate if we want to nurture as many Einsteins on the continent. So as we join the movement and sign the petition, I hope we are ready not only for a mindset change, but also for a lifestyle change. Excellencies, distinguished guests, with that, We shall now rise as our guest of honor leaves the room. Thank you.